Welcome back to The World This Week with me, Phil Rees. Well, they spent weeks united in Tahrir Square during the Egyptian Revolution. Many of you will remember the scenes. But barely 3 weeks later, there appears to be mounting sectarian conflict in Egypt. At least 1 in 10 Egyptians is Coptic, one of the oldest forms of Christianity. But last week, Coptic Christians and Muslims fought pitched battles in the street, even exchanged gunfire, leaving at least 12 people killed and hundreds more injured. The Copts are demanding that a burnt-out church in Cairo's Imbaba district is rebuilt and the people behind the violence put on trial. They're also claiming that the military failed to protect them. Well, the Justice Minister says now that Egypt is a nation, quote, in danger, and the military rulers are threatening to reintroduce counter-terrorism laws from the Mubarak era to deal with sectarianism. Well, here's more from Horia El-Haddad.
Christian families have lived alongside their Muslim neighbours for generations in Cairo's Shubra district. It's estimated that 15 to 20% of Egypt's population of 80 million people are Christian. But some argue that they don't share equal opportunities in employment, education or other basic rights. Gamel has lived in Shubra her whole life and says things aren't as they used to be when there was little discrimination between Christians and Muslims. She attributes a present rift between the two religions to a lack of guidance for younger generations.
لو الكبير في البيت يقول له لا ما فيش مسيحي ولا مسلم احنا اخوات كانت الدنيا دي عاشت في سلام زي زمان لكن ما فيش حد بيقول كده.
Gamel's son Said Solomon, a gold worker, said he wanted protection and security.
الحماية الأمان بس ده اللي مش عاوزه أنا عاوز بس دول الحماية والأمان غير كده مش عاوز اخش الكنيسه محدش يتعرض لي محدش يبقى داخل الكنيسه مستني قنبله بره مستني واحد بسكينه مستني واحد بطبنجه بس انا لا عاوزه كده امشي في الشارع ما فيش واحد يقول لك ده مسيحي وده مسلم.
Sectarian strife is not uncommon in Egypt. The most recent clashes were triggered by rumours that Christians had abducted a woman who converted to Islam. A church was set ablaze. 12 people died and 238 people were wounded. But one noted Egyptian Coptic Christian thinker, Milad Hanna, reflected that Coptic Christians mostly live in peace with their Muslim compatriots.
We are speaking about a community which has been living with the Muslims very happily, nearly the whole year round, and the majority of people are living happily with the Muslims. If there is an events which could make clashes every now and then, this may happen. They are normal people, not angels.
In an attempt to shroud sectarian tension, Egypt on Wednesday said it was considering new laws to criminalise sectarian violence. The latest church arson attack comes after the Egyptian Revolution, in which Muslims and Christians were brought together during protests that ousted former President Hosni Mubarak.
Well, thank you, Horia, for that report. The question is, who's behind the conflict? Who stands to gain the most? And how far will it go? Well, I'm pleased to say I'm joined by Dr. Mohammed Ghanem from the Muslim Brotherhood. Alongside him, we have Dr. Ibrahim Habib, the chairman of the United Copts of Great Britain. And our third guest is Dr. Ali El-Kabani, a Middle East analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Now, if I could start with you, Dr. Mohammed Ghanem. Well, why is this broken out in your view? What's your view of that?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My view is the snake is not dead yet. It's nothing to do between Muslim and Christian. It's nothing to do with the faith. The old regime, I wouldn't call it the counter-revolution or anything like that. It's a resistance. You know, when you kill the snake, even when you cut its head.
Well, what snake? Which snake then? The snake from the old regime?
The old regime. I think the old regime wasn't a person or a group of person, as some people try to simplify it, or the business people. It was a full structure.
So you think that agents provocateurs basically triggered this? What, from the former security apparatus?
From first, or from business people who still have money, and they are losing a lot by changing the system, changing the structure. They lose their social status, their economic beneficiary, economic benefit. They lose a lot. And one other thing I would like to emphasize: there is 500,000 people who's called Baltagiya sitting without any work, sitting on the door of those people.
That were part of the former,
sitting in the door of the people,
of Mubarak.
yeah, asking what we're going to do. They can't do anything, and those people have to give them something, or they turn against them. There is nothing to do with the nature of the two religions, because as Muslim or Christian, I'm sitting here with Dr. Ibrahim. I feel no difference between what he believes or what my belief.
Well, I mean, let's test that, Dr. Ibrahim Habib. I mean, do you actually agree with that? The snake, a leftover from the old regime. Otherwise, everything's happy.
Well, I'm afraid I don't agree, because you just look at the events and try to be objective. If we're blaming the old regime when more than 400 Christians were killed without a single prosecution, since the revolution until now, and don't take me wrong, we trust that Dr. Assam Sharaf, he's an honorable man, and the Supreme Council may be in a little bit of difficult position. But having said that, since the revolution till now, are you telling me that Kenya governorate, when they rejected the Christian...
This is in Upper Egypt.
Yes, in Upper Egypt. When they rejected the governor, are they all agent provocateur? No way.
Well, I mean, there has been evidence, backing up...
No, that's
Dr. Ghanem's point, that, for example, the church bombing which happened on New Year's Eve, that actually members of the security apparatus, the State Security Investigations Department, that's the secret police, were involved in that.
Look at it, Fih. When a whole village demolished the church, is the all Egyptian people becoming...
Okay, so what's happened? So you're saying you're worried, and the cops...
Which is not right.
You're saying the cops in Egypt are now worried. Why exactly then? I mean, what's happened?
Because of the radicalization and the hate which has been spread by the Salafi and the radical Islamist people from the minarets of the mosques and from the...
Well, are you blaming the Muslim Brotherhood? Are you blaming Dr. Ghanem's group?
I am blaming all radical Muslims, whether they are Salafis or otherwise,
what's a radical Muslim? I mean, what does that mean?
A radical Muslim who would like to implement Sharia against the Christians, who are treating Christians as infidels. We need fatwa from Al-Azhar to say clearly that attacking churches is not right, attacking Christians, innocent Christians, is not right. Living together is what we need. We haven't heard proper fatwa to say very clearly.
You mean the Muslim leadership has not come out?
Religious edict to say this is not from the religion.
Okay, Dr. Al-Kabani, I mean, would you say that perhaps the leadership, the Muslim leadership, Al-Azhar, has not come out specifically to condemn these events? And how would you assess the causes of them?
I'll come to the causes after assessing the need or requirement for a fatwa from Al-Azhar. Actually, the Christians have got a fatwa from God and His Messenger that they are protected by God and His Prophet. And as Muslims, we are obliged to protect أهل الذمة, and they are في ذمة الله ورسوله from anything. So we are protecting our brothers, the Christians and Jews, by order of God. So you don't need fatwa from Al-Azhar or anybody else. But what are the causes of this? You said in your introduction that in Tahrir Square, Muslims and Christians stayed shoulder to shoulder for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Actually, they have been staying shoulder to shoulder for 1400 years. The sectarian...
Well, I mean, he's concerned, though. I mean,
he's concerned, and he has got all the right to be concerned. I'm concerned also. Because there are three factors actually which are leading to this. We have got ignorant fanatic Muslims and ignorant fanatic Christians, and these groups are leading to sectarian tension. And now, in the absence of security and police forces in the street, and a new phenomena in the Egyptian society, which is armed guns and weapons in the hands of civilians, that's what led to this problem.
But isn't
so
there
it's
also
a crime
that actually,
which we have to be treated by the police and by law, and people who are on any of the
okay, but
two
isn't
sides
it, okay,
wrong, he has to
we'll
go
come,
to
we'll
jail.
come to that question of sort of whether there are more thuggery of this question later, but isn't it also true that basically a more democratic Egypt will be more Islamic in its leaning? I mean, that's inevitable, isn't it?
It is inevitable. Whatever democracy means, the majority rule. So whatever the majority decide, it will go in any society in the West.
Okay,
but democracy also protect the minority rights. So there should be no violation for the minority rights. As Muslims here in Christian society, we are demanding our own rights, but we cannot enforce our opinion to the Christian majority in England.
Sure, I mean, well, you know, but isn't this the point, Dr. Khanem, that the Muslim Brotherhood, having been suppressed for many years, is actually going to be successful politically? We don't know how much, but inevitably it could well be the largest party. I know it's not going to run for president, but it could have a major role. In fact, inevitably it will increase its role in Egyptian society. I mean, what guarantees can you give to Dr. Habib that Copts will have their rights preserved, that you won't get these kind of episodes? Because I think he's worried.
Yeah, this is the idea. The more Muslim you are, the more humble to other religion, either Christian to the Jews. I will give you an ayah in Surah Al-Kahf. وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. What means is, say the truth. That's God, by the name of God. Whatever would like to believe shall be free to do so. And whatever wants to disbelieve, that's believing God who created him, he should be free to do so. Then who are anybody can have the authority to deny that right? Then the more you understand Islam, the more you become close to the other religion. I have no dispute for anybody to what he believe, what his faith. What my dispute would be how he treated me and how I treated him. That's a juristic thing. And the more freedom, the more democratic structure in Egypt become, the more reflecting the will of the people, the more people will be close to each other and respect each other. This isolated, although it's been repeated somewhere, we have to understand this old regime. They have huge access to financial resources, and again, you have to appreciate 500,000 people not working, and they sitting in the door of those people. They need to employ them, rigging the election, do all these things. What all these people do? They go every single morning and sit and tell people to pay them. And in order to pay them, they have to give them a job. And they find any way to divide, to find a way to destabilize, even if they have no chance to have achieved anything. This is stable. The system is their objective at the moment.
Well, so, I mean, that's a fairly solid reassurance, isn't it, from a leading member of the Muslim Brotherhood, that, you know, your future, even if Sharia law was brought in, even, you know, your future would be secure. Obviously, as people from the book would have their rights preserved.
That's fine.
I mean, are you happy with that?
Two questions here, and if you let me answer them, and please give me the time. The first question here from the right is, democracy is what the majority decide. And the question from the left is that the more Islamized Egypt, the more secure are the Christians. Now, and the first question is considered deliberately to mislead, that the democracy is the dictatorship of the majority. I ask a question. In UK, in England, in any democratic country, do you find that democracy has encroached on the basic rights of the minorities if the majority say we going to eliminate the minorities? Is that something happening in any majority? Just, I'm sorry, I never
This is
interrupted
against
you.
human rights. This is
I'm
against the
sorry,
law.
I'm sorry,
Don't
I'm
say
sorry.
nonsense.
Can I just say,
Okay,
don't
well-
interrupt me. I have not interrupted you. Give me the chance
I
to
will
answer
give
your
you-
question.
speak
This
sense,
this
please.
is called the dictatorship of the majority. This is not accepted in any case. The human rights, the basic rights, the freedom of religion, the freedom of thought, the freedom of expression, the equality, the justice can never be touched by the ballot box, can never. Not just like the majority will decide, the majority cannot touch the rights of the minorities as long as the basic rights. The second question is, can I just answer it?
No, please, go
Do you
ahead,
mean
yeah.
that the question here about that the more Islamic, the more protected the Christians are? Do you think that Saudi Arabia and Somalia and Afghanistan don't understand Islam?
What do you say to that? I mean,
There is
obviously,
These are
difference between
Islamic
Islam and
countries.
practice of Muslims. You cannot
Give-
measure Islam according to the
sorry.
behavior of the Muslims.
sorry.
Let me finish then.
Just
It was not asking
to
I'm sorry, the
reflect.
question is here.
sorry,
reflect
sorry.
of Mr.
No,
Ibrahim,
this is
Dr.
a very
Ibrahim
valid
saying-
debate here,
He said
Dr.
the
Ghanem.
democracy and the dictatorship of the majority. There's two contradictions. There's nothing can play together, either democracy or dictatorship. When we say democracy is the majority rule, with understanding, protecting the minority. This is democracy. You can't just have a democracy majority as a dictatorship, then it's a contradiction to the system. The system reflects the will of the majority. And whatever the majority decide, they should accordingly respect the minority. And this is the essence of democracy. For Islam in particular, Islam is not just a creed which discriminate against people. As I said, even God, when He
What
created
the
human,
point, though, about Saudi Arabia, about Somalia? I mean, it's a fair point. I know that they're different countries, but there isn't the right to build a church, for example, in Saudi Arabia.
well, Saudi Arabia has got their own system. That doesn't mean they are Islamically 100%.
You can't build a
I'm
mosque in the
talking
Vatican?
about Islam. You get Islam not from any country,
cannot.
from any. You get
By law.
Islam from the Quran and the Sunnah and what it is. We are the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt have a political agenda. We have a political understanding of Islamic politics, which give the minority the right to exist and give them a free right to believe whatever they believe, to build a church, to practice their religion as far as they can. And the state should protect them. And this is what we understand of Islam.
But I mean, if I come to you, Dr. Al-Kabani, I mean, obviously we've heard Dr. Ghanem's reassurances there and the Muslim Brotherhood, obviously the leadership. But I mean, do you understand why Dr. Ibrahim and Coptic Christians are worried? Because there has been a seismic shift, hasn't there, in Egypt in a sense, that democracy will usher in a more Islamist society-oriented society now, because that is the majority, and that there isn't any kind of institutional safeguards in place. And I mean, don't you think that his concerns should be addressed?
I understand the sensitivity and the demands of minorities in Egypt and minorities everywhere in the world. Of course, they are trying to protect their rights, but in Islam, the constitution is the Quran, and he protects the people of the book, Christians and Jews. So Muslims are not Muslims if they mistreat Christians or Jews, and they are not Muslims if they attack any of their churches or temples. So that goes without saying. Also, there is the constitution of Egypt itself, which give all citizens of Egypt equal rights. Then you are talking to me about some bad behavior of Muslims. Of course, there are some ignorant Muslims, bad Muslims. You are talking to me about Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia doesn't give right to its own Muslim citizens, let alone give rights to minorities. So, the subject is very big, so we have to concentrate on one point at a time.
Leaving this on Egypt then, I mean, let's not get too diverted. I mean, we've had reassurances here that both from the faith and from secular institutions, you will be protected. Now, you know, clearly a few thugs
Can I say just one comment about this? I mean, the goalposts keep shifting. A few years ago, when the Muslim Brotherhood had the draft for the program, they said that women have certain places, the minority have certain places. They can't have wilaya kubra, which is the higher positions in the leadership of higher positions. Assam al-Aryan, when he went to see Michael Slackman in the New York Times, he told him, we don't believe in constitution, we have got the Quran. We don't believe in democracy because we have got Shura. Where does leave? What does?
But if
where
the
does that
majority
leave
of
us?
people want to support the brothers, and what I mean, what's wrong with that? I mean, how can you deny that?
Support the Muslim brothers. We don't support anything other than the secular government, where the source of legislation is not.
Yeah, but if the majority of people in Egypt want the source of legislation
we will not
to
accept
be
it.
from God,
No, we don't accept
we wouldn't
that.
accept democracy.
No, this is not democracy. This is dictatorship of the majority, as we said. The majority has to abide by the laws, the freedoms, the basic freedoms. Freedom of religion, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, equality, and justice,
So
and
laws,
democracy.
look, we're
Where
coming
is
to
the
the end.
justice here?
Laws basically derive then from God, unacceptable.
There is a point I have
Of
to
course.
distinguish for my
God is different to every people.
Dr. Ibrahim as well, different between civil and secular. Secularism is a movement come from Europe which has a relation with the authority, opposing the authority of the church. Islam has no church. And this is completely different. We cannot import that from Europe to Islamic country. What we have is democracy. Shura is fraught of democracy.
Of course,
completely.
European.
Is slightly different, but it doesn't affect the belief.
Look,
it does protect the minority.
I tell you, I would love to hear from you, but we've got no time. I tell you, this discussion should go on, but I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. So it's really a big thank you to all our guests here. I think a very, very interesting discussion. I really appreciate it. Next week, we'll be back with another look behind the global headlines on the world this week. So make sure you join us. Bye-bye.